have all the records, because as I said, the P60 will indicate as much as possible. But remember, you also have internal auditors. You also have your external auditors. You have your Her Majesty's inspectors, HMRC inspectors. You have your inland revenue inspectors, and they can ask to see any document relating to finance. It is a requirement. We have a statutory obligation for 6 years in law. So yes, and this applies to all aspects of life. And so even if you purchase something in the UK, then you have 6 years that you can declare that the item is not fit for purpose, or that it is substandard, it's defective. And it will be the court to decide on the usage. If you purchase a car, then you can use the car for under 6 years, and you can still refer to the manufacturer and says, we have a fault in the car.
Within the 6 years.
Within the 6 years. So the manufacturer warranty is something to which they have signed up, they have obliged, but under the law, it's for 6 years. And the court will then say, but you have used the car. There are so many miles that you've gone with the car, so you would expect to have the normal service. So you look at serviceable parts. Which are the parts of the car that are serviceable, and which are supposed to be permanent. And so they will then make deductions for this. And so under the Sale of Goods Act.
But how often the HMRC officer visited offices?
Maybe never.
Unless there's any report. So.
Yeah, what they do have is that they have the computer program will examine the pattern and will trigger, yes, some questions. Very much like your banks. So suddenly your bank locks your account because the pattern has changed. Now, you're not accustomed to coming to Kuala Lumpur. You're only accustomed to going to China, to Vietnam, to Laos. And now suddenly you're in Kuala Lumpur. So and there has been high level of activity. They have then closed your account. The system closes your account. In the same way, Her Majesty's Inspectorate will get a clue from the information system, which would say, there's a pattern, and we need to examine as a result of this pattern. Or there is something out of sync with the pattern, and so we need to go an investigation. And so the investigation is triggered, and you're notified about the investigation. And so you have to pay, the company has to pay for that investigation. And one of the things that most companies do is to have an insurance which takes care of this investigation.
Wow. Is it costly?
Yes. Yes, it's costly. It's costly. And it can be for VAT. It can be for VAT, value-added tax. Or it can be for just about anything connected with revenue and expenditure. Again, back to the itemized statement. What is the normal amount payable? What extra amount has been added for any reason? And therefore, what is different in terms of deficiency? And so the person knows exactly. Person knows exactly. Your salary will be paid on the last Friday of the month, or on the Monday closest to the 15th of the month, or the working day closest to the 15th of the month. And so you know exactly when to expect it, and they will be, the bucks will be automatic. And if there are changes in the salary, then this is regulated. This is there for you.
Prof, what happens if the company somehow cannot meet to pay the salary on the agreed date? So what kind of step need to be taken in ensuring that the company is not against or violating any law? Is it they have to issue a circular to inform the staff, or get an agreement, or what?
There are two questions here. Is it in terms of insolvency?
No, it's just a normal
monthly.
operation.
Just normal operation.
Yeah.
Then simply you change a date. You change a date to facilitate you. Yes. So if we are accustomed to paying, if we're accustomed to paying on the 15th, and we remember that we are paying retroactively. So if we agree to pay on the 15th, and we find that our system cannot cope with paying on the 15th, then we need to change the terms that we are going to pay on the 20th or the 25th or the last Friday of the month, by the last Friday of the month. And then we start paying. So this is something that we would, if it's part of the contract, if it's in the contract, then we have to get the workers to sign up to that, yes, to agree to it. If it's not part of the contract, and it's just a pattern, then simple notification will be enough. Where there's deficiency, then the deficiency is simply measured by what is the expectation, what has been the general pattern, and what's new, what's not there. You used to be getting a certain amount, and you expect that. So there are some variables in terms of the taxes, etc. And so those variables will make it go up and down a few pounds. But if you find that there's a major gap, you didn't get, you're getting £300 less in the month, then of course you begin to question. So if that is the case, then this needs to be notified at least to the individuals beforehand that this is going to be taking place. This is the month that we're going to be taking back the loan that we gave you to purchase your car.
Any specific time frame required to notify the employee what?
Just before.
Just before,
Yeah.
the year to the stuff like that.
Yes, and any time before they're interested. So in other words, what you don't want is someone to get a payslip and to come to the office to say, can you explain to me what's happening? You get a notification before so that you know that to expect this. This is what you're having. This is a month. And you may have known before, but for courtesy, you would give a reminder that this is a month and you're going to be getting less.
Or whatever, when it's time.
Is there any, where to find the month in UK? Is it a calendar or 4 weeks?
It is a calendar month. It's a calendar month. However, you're going to be going back to look at the 13 months. In any event, you're going to be looking back at the 13 months. You're still counting calendar months, but then for the purposes of understanding how much you're being paid, in some events you're still going back to it because you have 13 months, lunar months, and calendar months. So you're still, however, you are, if you're paying on the month, then what you're doing is work out how much you're paying for the year, or how much you're paying for the day, multiply it by the number of days that the people are working, then divide it by the number of months, which are then calendar months. But you cannot escape the fact that you also have those months. So in other words, what we're saying is that it doesn't seriously matter However, what we need to know is that we are paying people the rate at which we say we are paying them. So if we are paying them on the basis of working 5 days per week, then those 5 days per week multiplied by 52 is then going to give you the amount you're paying for the year. And if you are working, you're working on the calendar months, then you are dividing that by 12 to give them their monthly salary. So while some months will be 28 days or 29 days, some will be 31 and some 30. So then it doesn't really matter. You get the standard because this is a division, but it is the aggregate that does matter.
Prof, can you just share with us what will be the common fixed deduction in UK then?
Common fixed deduction. What are the things that people have to pay from their salary? National insurance. So national insurance, once you have a salary, a set salary, then your national insurance will remain the same unless your salary varies. The income tax will remain the same unless your salary varies. So where there is a variation or where there is an adjustment, then there will be a variation. So you have a code. The adjustment can be done by the code, or the adjustment can be done by an extraordinary